talk a little bit more about this Seattle team, his career, which was, by the way, stellar. And if you remember anything about Lofa Tatupu's career, which the Eagles seem to play the Seahawks every now and then, and it was some of his best games, I think. I didn't watch his whole career, but I feel like the games that I saw Lofa Tatupu play against the Eagles, Lofa, they had to be some of your best games playing against Philadelphia. You seem to always have tremendous games against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I think the two, they were probably up there in my top 5 of games. And I think it was because, all that passion of the Philly fans telling me how awful I was, it really fueled the fire.
I know there's no fans at this game on Monday night, so that will change it. And by the way, Lofa Tatupu is the host of the Believe in Seahawks on the Believe Podcast Network. He's a 3-time Pro Bowl linebacker. He was a second-round pick of the Seahawks, and he played 6 years out there. So you know a lot about the ins and outs of this organization, and you're looking at a team right now as a defensive guy. I wonder what you think when you watch that defense play, because we know their offense is dynamic, but, man, if they can get that defense put together, that's probably a Super Bowl team if they can figure it out.
100% agree. I think they're starting to come around. They, we've had some injuries, as a lot of people have, so it's no excuse, especially when you got one of the world's best middle linebackers in Bobby Wagner and then KJ Wright there too. But their pass rush is really coming on lately, and that's encouraging. I think 13 sacks in the last 3 or 4 weeks. And that's in large part getting Jamal Adams back on the field. That guy is a beast. And then also adding Carlos Dunlap in that trade was huge for us.
I was going to say, Dunlap got that key sack last week. I'm wondering, watching that defense that struggled, how much he has helped, because pass rush has been a huge problem for that team.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you add a guy 6'6", 280, plays both the run and the pass well, I think he's closing in on 90 sacks for his career, which it would catch a lot of people off guard, right? Because he was in Cincinnati the whole time, and it's not like they were playing with the lead all the time for him to just pin the ears back and go get the quarterback. But he adds a real lot to both the run and the pass game. And, I was encouraged by what I saw out of the secondary, too. Even though we're banged up, hopefully Shaq Griffin makes it back for his first action in a month. But DJ Reed has really come on and been a great addition to that secondary.
I want to ask you, Lofa, by the way, I looked it up. Against the Eagles, 2 games, 20 tackles, 4 interceptions, and 7 passes defended. If you played the Eagles every single week, we'd be talking about the greatest linebacker in the history of the game, by the way. But you play linebacker, and it's a spot in Philly that they just don't seem to value all that much. And I wonder what you think. You get to see Wagner play out there every week, and why more teams don't put a higher priority on that position in today's game.
Yeah, because there's a select few. There's only a few, Bobby Wagner, Ray Lewis. He's up there with the greats. And but I absolutely agree with you. I think there should be more emphasis on it. And, you guys got a really good linebacker that I brought into camp with the Seahawks back in 2015. I'm talking about none other than Alex Singleton. And, he's out there wreaking havoc. In the last 2 games, he's got 26 tackles, a sack, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. And, of course, we all saw that pick 6 on Sunday Night Football earlier in the year against the Niners. But it's a position that sometimes gets overlooked. D-line is always at the emphasis because the guys in the trenches, they just like as you said, our secondaries come into life. It's because the pass rush is coming to life. So hopefully we get a little more love for the linebackers, though, right?
I do. And you mentioned Singleton. We had him on the show right after the game against San Francisco. And here's a guy, you could probably tell us more about him. You work with him, that he's got to go to Canada. He's kind of falls through the crack. He doesn't go to this big college. But it seems that that's the way that the league is going. They're finding these smaller, faster. You'd be great in today's game, by the way. But, a guy like Singleton – maybe, you get lucky and you find a guy through the cracks. So what impresses you about what he brings that maybe you're right, that we're overlooking, that you may have found a guy?
Yeah, well, when I watched his film in college, just instincts and toughness. And, that's it. That's all I'm looking for. Is a guy that he fights until the whistle, until the very last play, and doesn't matter about the score in the game. And you've seen it with the last, unfortunately, the last 2 weeks have been losses for you guys. But, he's out there with, 15 tackles against the Giants, 11 and a big play against Cleveland last week. And it's just that relentless, keep going. And I guarantee you, I bet you Philly signs him back because he's the embodiment of what that city is, just tough and gritty. And, I'm excited about his future and, wherever he ends up. But, I mean, I'd extend that kid if I was over there for sure.
He was great. He said, I would play in Germany for free if I had to. I mean, that's the kind of mentality that kid has. I mean, and, it's amazing because that position has been just kind of pushed by the wayside here. And yet you look at what the total differences between these two teams. Now, Adams, you mentioned, and I'd love to hear from you what a safety like that brings to a defense, because the Eagles had Malcolm Jenkins. He's no longer here, and it seems that they're missing something on that defense, and what a guy like Adams brings to a team.
Yeah, he's a playmaker, and, you have to be conscious of where playmakers are because at any moment they could change the game. We're talking about a guy, it's high praise, but, I got to watch Troy Polamalu play, at SC when we were there together. And then you saw what he did in the league. And this is a guy you could put anywhere and he'll make plays, punching the ball out. He's got 5.5 sacks, and I think he's only really been active for 4 games and, 3.5 because he missed a half of one of those games. So there's no shortage of things he could do out there, and it gives you a lot of flexibility as a defense when you can line him up. And you can line him up at linebacker, and he'll make plays.
Love watching him play. We're talking with former Seahawks linebacker Lofa Tatupu. He's the host of the Believe on the Seahawks on the Believe Podcast Network. And, you played for Pete Carroll. And when you think of the Seahawks, you think of him running up and down the sideline, the energy he brings, and just like what it was like playing for him and watching him now to see the same passion that he brings probably when he coached you in college.
Yeah. I mean, the guy's Benjamin Button. He's aging in reverse right now. But that was the thing that stood out the most was his, unwavering attitude and energy and passion for the game. You see it, and that just trickles down to the coaching staff and then to the players. And then it's when you get a guy that's special like Russell Wilson, who just really embodies that spirit and the belief that doesn't matter what happens, we're going to go out there and win. And you'll see it. Even when there's a turnover, the defense gets riled up. Russ is running over to the O-line saying, hey, we get the ball back, I'm going to score. And that's just that belief is really what stands out the most over the years of playing for Pete and, both in at SC and then also in Seattle.
Now, we talked about the defense, which has struggled. The offense has been fantastic. You mentioned Russell Wilson, but, man, he's got a lot of weapons. And one that gets brought up here a lot is DK Metcalf, because he was on the board when the Eagles made a selection at 57. And it's every team now saying, well, he was on the board when we had a chance to pick. But what is it about Metcalf that maybe teams passed on that they missed about?
No, everyone loved him. I guarantee you go back. I know he dropped to the second round because of injury history. And that's everybody that they were worried about. Like, I think he finished maybe one full season, maybe his freshman year at Ole Miss. And so they were just thinking about, okay, in terms of value, where will we get him? And that's something that John Schneider's done a terrific job. Finding guys like Lockett. You go back to years past in drafts, getting the Cam Chancellor and Richard Sherman in the 5th round. I mean, how does that happen? But that's finding value. And then the value that DK brings, he's here. You pair him up with one of the best quarterbacks, I believe, in league history, Russell Wilson. And now he's starting to figure out how to really take care of himself. And he's always been a hard worker, but now he's figuring out, about putting in the time and, getting massage therapy, getting him the Colts up, getting all these things that are going to benefit him and keep him on the field longer.
Now, you're not too far removed from playing, but just when you watch the game, you were coaching too, right?
Yep.
So how, just in the short time you've been out, how the game has changed for the defense?
Yeah, I mean, there's this read option, or RPO, right? That's an incredible task for a linebacker or a second-level defender to have to, okay, well, the lineman's running at me, which tells me it's a run, but the quarterback just picked it up and threw it, to the slant. So there's a lot of confusion and there's a lot of, trickery going on right there with that. And so, I don't know how you combat that. I just would deepen up my alignment. And as soon as I pick that ball off the first time, they're going to start handing it off.
Lofa Tatupu is with us here, great Seahawk player. And, right now the Eagles are struggling, and the quarterback and the coach, everybody's talking about it. Is it the coach is the problem? Is it the quarterback is the problem? But you're around the Seahawks who have had a lot of offensive line issues. And the Eagles are having all sorts of offensive line issues. And when you're a defensive player and a team has offensive line problems, how much of that plays a factor in how successful that offense is going to be on a given Sunday when they've got 9 different linemen playing in a game?
Yeah, man, the game's won in the trenches. And a lot of things can get covered up if they have good line play on either side of the ball. But when someone's, reeling or struggling, especially playing that many different combinations of players of offensive line, you're hopeful that you could just send 4 and keep more in coverage, because Carson, he is a good quarterback and he can find the open receivers. All these quarterbacks can given time. So you hope that you don't have to blitz as much and just rely on the pass rush to get there. But hey, with all the things going on, don't forget my last year here in Seattle, we won the NFC West at 7-9,
yep.
And we won a playoff game. And so that's what the East is shaking out to right now. And just have faith.
Lofa, I bring that up often because the mentality of the sports fan is like demoralizing now. It's like if you can't win the Super Bowl, the fans want you to lose to get draft picks. And it's like, look, these draft picks don't work out all the time. We have this mythical thought that you're going to draft a guy with pick number 8 and he's going to turn your franchise around. There's a reason the Bengals draft 8th all the time. They stink at drafting players. And a lot of teams that draft in the top 10 are all bad at that draft game because it's not easy. So be the Seahawks, get 7-9, get yourself in the playoffs. You might even win a game. Who knows?
I agree. And that's that belief that I was telling you about. Even though we're not doing that great that year, just give us a chance, and we made it happen. We made history.
What was that sound like when Marshawn Lynch was dragging people with them on that run, like the sonic boom? What do they call that? I mean, what was it like in that place?
The Beastquake. And I actually, you know what? I had gotten knocked out just a couple plays before, so I don't really remember exactly, but I remember that it woke me up like, wow, all right, I know I'm at a football game. I know I'm on the sideline. What just happened? And one of the traders was like, I think Marshawn just won the game.
That was unbelievable. It's one of the most memorable things everybody remembers, like, what happened. They all know that was the Seahawks team that was 7-9. And it's funny how cyclical things are because the NFC West at that time was the down team, the division, and now they're the best, and the East is this horrible division, but things can change so quick. And that Seahawks franchise has been almost the model of consistency really since then.
Yeah, absolutely. Though, all the great Hawks teams, the Niners and the Rams both just went to the Super Bowl the last 2 years. So it's been a tough division. And right now, outside of the AFC North, I'd say this is the toughest from top to bottom anyways. It's only the Niners have a losing record. And, we were just in first, and now the Rams just won on Monday night. So they just went back up to first. So I have a feeling we got to, strap in your seatbelt and get ready for this ride because it's going to be intense.
Well, the Eagles haven't beaten the Seahawks since 2008. It's been a while. You were on that team, by the way, and that's the last time Philly has been able to knock off the Seahawks. It's been a long, long time. Now the game. Were you on the Seahawks team? It was 2005 was your first year. They played Philly in Philly. Reggie White's number got retired at halftime. It was snowing like crazy, and I think you guys beat them 42-0 or something like that. Yeah,
it was. That was my rookie year, and that was to clinch a playoff spot. It was a fun game, I'll say. And then also, side note, I wasn't on the 2008. I was hurt for that game.
That's why. There we go. By the way, so now it's coming back to me because that night in the 42-0 game, you had like 4 sacks. How many? You had the interception return for the touchdown. Did you not, like 100 yards?
I had was it 40? I think it was 40 or 50, 40-yard interception, pick six. But I dropped 2 interceptions that game. That's what I remember.
Jeez.
But I did the Kenny Norton, and paid homage to Kenny Norton, and on that end zone I hit the punching bag, and then also the Vi Sikahema. Right.
That's right. So where are you at now? What are you doing these days?
I'm up here in Seattle right now, and
Nice.
I got my own. We got the podcast, the Believe and the Seahawks podcast, and the Believe Sports Network, and that's going great. Just started that this year, and then I run my own dietary supplement company, a CBD Focus. It's called Zone In CBD, and you can find out more about it at zoneincbd.com. It's a lot of people, they're hearing a lot about it these days, and it's something that put me back together, mind, body, and soul, after 10 surgeries and 15 concussions in those 6 years.
Well, it's been a pleasure catching up with you, man. I know we were supposed to try to catch up with you at the Super Bowl this year, last year. I don't know what's going on at the Super Bowl this year, but if that all happens and things get back to normal someday, we hope to meet you in person. But it's been a pleasure catching up with you here on the show. And, stay safe. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, likewise, fellas. Stay blessed.
Absolutely. Lofa Tatupu, host of the Believe in Seahawks on the Believe Podcast Network. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler, a second-round pick of the Seahawks. He played 6 years in Seattle, and he, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. A great conversation